Got it.
Hannah, we're recording for Hannah. So she's went on some visits this weekend. So she's...
Well, that's good.
Traveling, yeah. She may be able to log on audio when she lands.
Hey, Kevin.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Nikki, is your mom with you, or is she going to be coming on separate?
She'll be with me in a few minutes.
Okay. Who are we missing?
1, 2, 3.
Shael.
Yep.
And Tierney. Is Tierney on?
No, sir. There she is. Hi, Lila.
Hi.
I was going to, and she may make a guest appearance when I do these things. My dog Shelby is the identical dog that lives on your driving range.
Oh, they just trimmed that dog the other day. It's all like, looks like it's 20 pounds lighter than it was before.
No.
Yeah.
Well, if she comes up here, she'll have to make a guest appearance because she spit an image of that dog.
That's funny. I can't promise my kids won't make an appearance, but they may sneak in here. We'll
Mary's
see.
cats go across the screen all the time.
They do. They're having dinner right now, though, so we should be all right for a little while.
There you go.
I'm going to shoot them a quick text.
Elijah, can we see your face?
I'm working on it, but did she say that if I was far, she didn't want to?
And did you want me to text Tierney?
You text Tierney, I'll get the other two.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, it was my son.
How's the new house?
It's great. We're officially kind of moved in. All of our beds and stuff are in here, and most of our furniture. Still a few boxes to unpack, but we are in.
Scott, how's your mom?
My mom?
Yeah.
She's doing well. They're both active people, so this time of year when it gets cold, gets a little dicey. She sent me a video of her doing step aerobics in the basement the other day. So yeah, they're busy and active, and Elijah and I are getting ready for a 10-day trip to the mountains in August. So we both kind of got back to training today. So now that he's missing a body part.
I'm down in Oregon, but what I've lost in Oregon, I'm up in heart.
Oh. Hi, Tierney.
Hey,
Hello.
there she is.
All right, Shael's finishing up a call with her doctor. She'll be here momentarily.
Y'all remind me what grade everybody's in. Caroline, you're a senior, right? And then where's everybody else? Tierney's a senior too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm in 10th grade.
He's the baby.
Yash, you're a junior?
Yeah.
And so is Hannah, is that correct?
Yeah.
And Shael is also a junior?
Yes.
Okay. Has anybody been able to play golf other than Caroline, where the weather is decent?
Hit outside, but not like haven't been able to really like play.
Yeah.
Well, we just got assaulted with, the northern blast. So the next 5 days are looking pretty ugly. They already canceled school tomorrow, and most places they've canceled school for Wednesday already here because, we don't know how to drive in any sort of precipitation, and it's under 40 degrees. So
I'm pretty happy about it, though. I don't want to go to school.
She's got that
senioritis.
Yeah, senioritis already. You're probably already buttoned up, right? With pretty much with grades and whatnot.
I mean, yeah, I don't know how much any of this even counts anymore, but I'm still trying to get good grades. So
there you go. Good habits for long-term benefits. That's good. Yeah, we're about to get what y'all have. I guess what's coming through you guys over there, Kevin, is going to eventually get us. We're supposed to get some ice tomorrow or tonight. So we'll see how that plays out.
I have this great picture of both Caroline and her sister. It's not cold weather, but like happened to be hurricanes that were supposedly going to hit Austin that ended up turning north. I mean, they smashed Houston and some other things. I think I can't remember which ones were which, but sitting on the porch in the car seat, when it's 75 degrees and sunny, experiencing their hurricane when we couldn't, you couldn't find toilet paper or milk for a week. Texas does not do weather well.
Tennesseans are learning. We're not great, but they're definitely, I think y'all are more like it was when I was in Birmingham, Alabama. It's like, oh my gosh, there's snow coming in 3 days. Let's raid all the stores of milk and bread. I was like, I'd be getting water and canned goods. I don't know what y'all are getting milk and bread for.
Yep.
It's gonna spoil. It's funny. Yeah. What's everybody doing for spring break? I know somebody's going to like a Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah.
I was going to say, there it is. I heard about that one through the grapevine.
I'm so excited. We're also shooting golf, though.
Okay, good. Yash, you're going to that Taylor Swift concert too, right?
Oh, I wish.
You're not a Swiftie?
No, I wish.
Oh, you are a Swiftie.
That's funny.
All right. Should be any second now. How is the timing with you guys with the Memorial Day? Who's able to do that the week before Memorial Day? And it's not Memorial Day, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you'll have Memorial Day with your family.
I think that works for us.
Beautiful.
I am not sure.
Yeah.
I'll just
That's all for you.
later.
Memorial Day.
We'll be there.
We'll be there.
All right, we'll
And
give her a
y'all-
couple more minutes, and then if she's not on, we'll.
Y'all added some studs to your staff there.
So
Tanya.
excited. Yes. What a great group we have. Yes. Ginger's awesome. Erin's awesome. Erin got her first new client last week, so she's already rocking and rolling. And yeah, it's great.
And I hope all of you kids get to meet Ginger at some point. She took a team from like 100 and something in the country to like top 5 or top 10 in like what, 2 years or 3 years? There's some crazy stat that she did. I was like, man, talk about culture shift. I mean, you might get 1 or 2 recruits that can help you, but you're kind of stuck with what you got when you come in.
Which institution was that at when she was at Arkansas State?
Mississippi State.
At
When
Mississippi
she came
State.
in, they were bottom of the barrel.
You know, I just love her. She's just, and we've also, Scott, you'll love this. We've added some things to our programs and our services, personality testing for
Yay.
the parent and the athlete.
That's so
So
good.
we're adding it in. It's not an option. So we're really excited. And the Zooms that we've had, we try to Zoom once a week with the team. So Aaron, Ginger, and myself. And there may be a new face coming soon too, which we're excited about. But Ginger's just, I mean, she's funny, she's laid back, and she's like, why would I want somebody just like me? I need a personality that's, you know, opposite. So, you know, she's just, yeah, it's going to be great. I'm really excited.
I thought it was really neat. Her favorite part that she mentioned about coaching was actually the recruiting process. She loved trying to help kids figure out where they fit. And if like she didn't have a spot for them, she'd get to know them and say, I know this coach and this coach and this coach, and try and place them around. And all the kids that are coming up, either the ones that you currently have on the screen or ones that are coming. Yeah. She's going to be a valuable resource there as well. Just, she's very different that way. She's very Southern. She's a Southern, as Southern as they come. And, you know, I don't think she's got a mean bone in her body.
Right.
Oh, here's Cheyenne.
There she is.
There she is. Hey-o. Nice. We got the hair out this time. Oh, girl.
Love it.
My doctor's appointment ran a little longer than I thought it was going to.
That's okay. Thanks for jumping on. All right, Scott, it's all you.
It's all me. Well, you know, I was thinking about this earlier today. As I got to know more about what Tanya and Mary really do, where y'all are at, you don't understand fully yet, and you will in a couple of years probably, like the opportunities that they're putting in front of you all. I think and they didn't pay me to say that. Like, this is something I've thought about for a while. Like, and it's why I'm very careful who I send kids to get recruited to go different places. It's like, most of them are just like, hey, we'll get your TrackMan data and we'll create a profile for you and we'll email the coaches. And like, I don't know. In my experience talking to coaches, they don't generally like that style. But they're putting tools and professionals and experiences in place that most kids don't have access to, unless parents or a coach is doing the work to say, hey, go here, go there, go wherever. So I just think that's a unique experience. Take advantage of it when they offer it. It's not just us, it's who they're sending y'all to see. So, you know, Elijah and I had a really cool experience this week at the PGA show, getting to listen to Brad Faxon and their marketing director over there at Titleist kind of talk about wedges and wedge play. And golly, that was a treat. So always learning new tools. So those are the types of things that when they're in front of you, you try and take advantage of them. So I think it ties in a little bit to where I mentioned y'all find really good players in your area and go learn from them. I just think that's a missing component. So one of the things I want to do is answer any questions y'all had, you know, as you go back and you reflect on things or comments. Like I've had some college players mention, you know, I haven't scored well in the last year and a half. And as I go back and I think about those rounds, I played really well. I actually hit a lot of marks, that kind of thing. So anybody do any of that type of work? I know I've got some data from Caroline and Tierney that I think has been helpful. And I'm going to point out a few things just from theirs, not any specifics to each particular person, but some things that we notice in the data as it comes through. And I think he's been doing a ton of playing lessons this winter. Obviously hasn't done much in the last like 4 to 6 weeks, but some just trends that we see that I think can be very helpful to you. So before I kind of do that, what particular questions can I answer? Go for it, Yash.
So I remember talked about like during practice rounds, like to find the VPN for your next first round, you looked at the holes that were marked. What if there aren't like any marked holes? Then what would you do? Would you just try to find a VPN on every corner of the green or wherever their edges are?
Well, so one of my favorite things to do, and that's a very normal question, is to actually look at where superintendents tend to put holes in certain locations. So generally speaking, superintendents have roughly 4 to 5 zones that they'll put flags in. And so you'll see old cups. And so finding those old cups can help you at least get a precursory estimate as to where those may be. And especially with how quick VPNs can be drawn, right? Like once you know where it is, especially as you start to get a grasp on it, it's literally like, okay, if the flag's here, I'm gonna draw a line here, 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 and here for these 5 hole locations. And as you play tournaments more, and I think this is where I think I'd like Elijah's input here. As you play tournaments more, you start to figure out where tournament directors like to put hole locations if you're paying attention. It's not always in those zones, but by and large, they'll be in one of those zones. So you kind of want to prepare for that ahead of time. And then I would look at, once you've done that preparation work, once you get a hole location sheet on the first tee, I'd take a quick look at each hole before you even tee off, right? Like, all right, it says it's 12 paces on and 4 off the left. Where is that likely to be? Like, how close is that to those spots? So it's being extra proactive and doing all that hard work on the front end, so you're always prepared. I can tell you from climbing mountains and being in other things, like the more prepared you are for something, the more comfortable it is. So Elijah, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say when you guys are not sure about where pin locations are going to be in a tournament, I mean, I've played events where, you know, they've had certain colors for certain days, and so you know where every single pin is for every single day of the tournament. And I've also played events where, you know, you have no information. You don't even know the tee boxes that you're playing. You don't know where the pin locations are. What I would do when you guys are looking at the green complexes is go ahead and find what you would define as the nearest edges if the pins were close to those specific slopes or edges of the greens. You guys know how to define what is a nearest edge at this point. So if the flag is closer to, you know, an edge of the middle of the green where there's a tier, or if it's closer to the right edge, you guys should know those complexes if you guys are buying yardage books, you know, doing your homework on the greens in the practice round, so that when you get your pin sheet in the morning on number 1, you know, it shouldn't be too long of a process to figure out, okay, I know where this edge is, I know where that edge is, and now I know where the flag is. I know if it's closer to, you know, a specific defined slope that is now a nearest edge inside the green complex versus, you know, the front edge of the green or a drop off to the right of the green, you know, whatever the case may be. You guys should be able to define that pretty quickly if you've done your homework and know the complex of the green before you get your pin sheet.
Does that help, Josh?
Yeah, thank you.
What else? Great question. Go ahead, Shael.
Mine's not a question, it's just a comment. So I've been practicing more inside and like I have a simulator. So I think that using the simulator is because I don't have this yardage map or anything. So I think it's been easier to kind of find those lines. So even though I'm not playing in tournaments, I feel like it's faster to get that thinking down now, just even in a simulator. And then I feel like it's gonna be easier when I start tournaments up to do that. So I think it has been helpful. And I think my thinking of it has kind of progressed a lot faster. So I think that'll definitely benefit in my tournaments.
Beautiful usage of it. That's great.
I know that Hannah had a question that she wanted to talk about, was defining the OP and explaining, hi. explaining the OP a little more and how to find it.
Yeah. So the I kind of want to take you back to like the core of how that was drawn up, right? So I think getting to give you some history there is going to help. So the reason why it's called the OP is stands for opposite the pin. That's traditionally how it was taught. If the pin was on the left side of the green, you hit it on the opposite side of the fairway. So you hit it opposite from the pin. So that's where the phrase OP came from or comes from. And so that's a Gracie, stop. So that's kind of the premise of it, and that's the starting point, right? Then from there, remember that comes out of, it's going to run parallel through the middle of the fairway as the fairway meets the green. So do y'all remember the the big horseshoe shaped hole at the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill? Y'all know that crazy
The one that Bryson drove or tried to.
Yeah, he tried to drive, right?
Yeah.
So he made par from there, by the way, because he missed the OP and then he missed the BPN. Missed them both. I was like, yes. But that's one of those crazy holes. So like when you draw that line out of there, if you have any BPNs that point to the right or away from the water, it's basically impossible to get into that OP, right? Because that thing's going to come out right out of the middle of that fairway. It's going to, bisect the fairway it's going to hit the rough at like 50 yards from the green, right? It's just going to go on forever because it's just one giant horseshoe. So there are certain hole locations and certain hole shapes with designs that make it basically impossible to hit it. So it never runs like all the way to the tee box unless you're playing a perfectly straight hole. So, that's where it's important to know that piece, and why when I collected the data, it would take so long, because I'd have to identify, like the tour would say left rough, left fairway, right fairway. Well, then I'd have to go in and look on some of those dogleg shaped holes and go, well, did the ball go far enough or short enough? Yes, it was right fairway, left fairway, but where's that OP line coming through there? So most holes that you'll play, unless they're just dead straight, sometimes the OP line is going to be impossible to get into, and sometimes it's going to be easy because the pin's on the far side and you're playing a dog leg right and the pin's on the far left, and you just have to get it past the corner enough to be able to see the flag. So that to me is, I don't know if that's helpful at all in terms of drawing that OP line, but it doesn't run all the way to the tee box. It's not like, oh, I hit it in the left half of the fairway like the tour defines it. It's how does that fairway run? How's that shape sit? Trying to think of some other holes. I mean, Pebble has some there. Like the 18th at Torrey is pretty simple, straightforward. Like it's just a straight par 5. Okay, this one's easy. It's right or left. But you kind of got to figure out what that is. And remember, the OP is just like the BPN. If you don't make an intent at the green, if you don't make an attempt at the green, you don't mark it. So y'all remember, let's see. The first hole out here, that little short dogleg left par 4. Little, not really a dogleg per se, but kind of moves a little bit to the left. So that OP line runs way to our right off the tee box. Like it's way over there from the green. But let's say you had hit it into that little grouping of trees down there in the bottom, and your ball was up against a tree root and you couldn't make a shot at the green. And let's say you had missed the OP by hitting it down there. If you kick that ball back out into the fairway, this is kind of to Carson's point on the phone call. If you kick it back out in the fairway, kick it into the left half in that particular scenario, and that would put you into the OP. And then you would want to try and hit the BPN there as well. So it's not based on your tee shot per se. It's based on your attempt at the green. So all of your marks get defined by your attempt at the green. And so that's one of those moments. I think that's the important piece. Remember, everything's about intent. So that allows us to then look back and go, well, I lost a shot there because I missed the green, or I missed the fairways behind a tree, kicked it out. But if you can hit the OP and the BPN, you regain some strokes. So be considerate of that when you're kicking shots out. You can't just kick them out into the fairway, because if you kick it into the fairway on the wrong side, then you've lost more, right? So you've already lost a shot by having to kick it out. You're going to lose another one. Then if you miss the BPN and the OP, like that's where you get compounding errors. You hear coaches talk about don't compound errors. Well, you can compound errors strategically too. So that OP can be very, very important to your play. So, we just played down at the PGA show. We played a golf course blind. Now Elijah only played half like 50-yard shots on the first day, just trying to get his body moving, and then hit a few other shots the second day, not very many. But when you're playing a golf course blind, especially if it's a dog leg left, I don't know where anything is. I don't know where the flag is. I don't know nothing. And so at that point, I'm trying to hit it as center of the fairway and as center to the corner as I can. So luckily it's a shorter golf course. I could play more 4 hybrids and 5 woods and things like that to try to get into those potential marks or keep it close. So, and then at that point, it's where's the BPN? So first day, I made the same mistake that everybody makes typically, which is like, oh, okay, it looks like it's about up there. Like, Scott, you're going to cart right up there real quick, ride another 50 yards up to see where those lines are. And then you get up there like, oh, shoot, that's on the wrong side. And so, it's 15 seconds to ride up a little further and come back. Now, I know y'all are walking, but that makes a difference. Is that helpful at all? I don't know if that helped. Yes, Shael.
Oh, say that you were you weren't trying to hit the OP and it's par 4, and then you go hit onto the green. Would you just mark no for OP then? Like, would you just that's the thing that I didn't understand, how you would mark that in that particular scenario.
Yeah, so you could go either way with that. One of the hard things when you're looking at tour data is to know for sure whether they went for it. Generally speaking, you're not going to see a tour player lay up between 30 and 50 yards unless you're just not going to see them lay up to that yardage because it's too hard to control spin and trajectory and distance control there. If they miss it, if they're 30 to 50 yards from the hole, they're usually right or left of it. Rarely are they short of it. So that's an easy one for intent. If they have a chance to hit it on the green, they're going for it. It's there's not a I hope this kind of maybe maybe I'll get lucky and it rolls up. And I think that's an important distinction to understand about really good players. They're really trying to avoid the accidental stuff like that. Like, oh, I didn't mean to go for it, but it kind of got there. Well, Elijah, and you can probably speak to this, that's usually an indication that you're making a lot of other errors in a lot of other places. Even though it seems like it works out for you, right? Like, hey, it rolled up on the green. That's sometimes the worst case scenario. Elijah, thoughts on that?
Yeah, taking it back.
Hang on. Y'all hear him? Or is he muffled?
The conversation.
Yeah, there we go.
You got me now?
Okay, I got you now.
Yeah. Sorry, we're back from a long hike today, so in the middle of nowhere right now. But basically, getting the ball back into position is super important. And so when you guys are thinking about, am I compounding an error? Using BPN to get back into position is good. And so that's why, especially to tour setup ends, because they know that their probability of having the proper angle versus a shorter yardage is going to be better for them. So that's the intent side of things. And something else that, you know, I didn't get to touch on with you guys, you know, due to just the events of the weekend for me, when we're talking about chipping it or getting it back into the OP when you're out of position off the tee, I would strongly encourage you guys to also be trying to chip the ball back into the BPN when you miss the BPN. You know, that's going to give you the higher probability putt as opposed to trying to chip it as close as possible. Sometimes it's better just to get the ball back into position so you're not compounding an error.
Yeah, you've been pushing that a lot this winter, is even on your chips and pitches. Yeah, you're trying to hole them, but you're trying to bias them, especially if you're out of the BPN, bias them into that spot.
Right. Yeah. And one of the things, like, it's a saying that I had in my game for a long time before I started using this system was, you know, someone would say, oh man, like tough bogey there, or like tough double. It's like, nah, like I made bogey from the fairway, or I made bogey from my decision off the tee. Like, if I caught a bad break around the green, or, you know, a putt lipped out, and, you know, a lot of people would define it as unlucky. You know, I was already saying, like, hey, I made a bad decision long before the outcome of my par putt or my bogey putt or whatever it would have been, that actually dictated why I made the score that I made. And so if you guys have Scott's book, The Champions Playbook, go ahead and read chapter 6, because that will help you guys start to reflect on the decisions you're making. And now that you have the OP and the BPN and the POA, you guys have all the tools you need to reflect on the rounds that you're playing and why you're shooting the numbers you're shooting. But you also have, you know, the pre-shot side of it to make sure that you have all the tools to make decisions while you're on the golf course. So take a look at chapter 6 if you haven't read it. If you have, go back and review it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point, Elijah. Does that help, Shael?
So basically what you're saying is that you really shouldn't be making those errors, so then it would just kind of count as a zero. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
I have I don't know if it's a question, but lately something that I've been doing when I play is most of my rounds that I have in here are 9 holes because I've been able to do them after school and stuff. But whenever I am focusing, because I think you told us one time, like, try and play around where you focus on getting your POA as low as possible, or your BPN as high as possible and stuff like that. I've kind of noticed I played the POA game once, or I tried to get it as low as possible. And you can just not make your attempt at the green and then chip, and then it's really low. And so I've been using that in normal rounds too, when it's I think yesterday I played, it was the first hole and I had 170 into the green. So I played 2 clubs shorter just to be on the front, not on the green quite. And then I ended up with I could still putt it, but I was just off the green, and I actually made the birdie, and I had a 0 POA, and I walked off the green, and I was I feel I just cheated that, but technically it was true. And then I kept doing it the whole round. I had another really hard, I was 200 into the green or something uphill, and I was I can't get this on the green probably because I took a club shorter. Then I just flushed my hybrid and I hit it on the green, and my POA ended up being 2, and I was I guess that's true. And I ended up with 182 for 9 holes, which I felt was insanely low, but
it is.
But I guess like, and I wasn't sure like walking off of it, whether I cheated that or whether it was just like, cause my attempt wasn't at the green, but like, I don't know. That was kind of my question is like, can you do that? And then log the stats that way?
Yeah, you could. And even in that one particular scenario where you accidentally hit it too good, right? And you got it on the green, like that's an outlier. So even if you had taken that as an attempt at the green, your POA still wouldn't go to like 300 or 400, right? It would stay in the 200s. So that would still be really low. Elijah didn't get to show you this because of having to go to the hospital, but in his practice notebook, I'll let Elijah, you want to share this? What your goals were in your, like, this much POA, this many BPNs?
Yeah. To piggyback off Caroline, story or experience there, the only thing I would say is also reference chapter 1 of the Champions Playbook. And if your decision making isn't serving shooting the lowest score possible, then having 180 feet in your POA doesn't matter. That's the only thing I would challenge you as far as your thinking there goes. Like, I appreciate that you're saying, okay, I don't know if I'm cheating this or not. At the end of the day, if you're cheating it or not, it doesn't necessarily matter. What matters is what score you shoot. And so that frame of thinking or that decision making or that style is a basic. If not, then we need to back it up and take another approach to it. But yeah, my goals, especially throughout this winter class that we've been teaching, the Cracking the Code 3.0, one of the biggest, things that I've noticed in people's strategy. Do we got me? You guys got me?
I got you now. I can take over for a second if you need me to.
No, you're good. What was the last thing you heard there? I'm sorry, guys.
Do you want to do that? Does that count?
The last understandable word.
You were about to talk about the POA objective that you had.
Yeah. So I've noticed, in compounding errors and people just making bad decisions, their expectations are too high. So I
Daniel, you want to
goals with our Cracking the Code class, and my POA, the other 2 marks that no 3-putts and no doubles.
Yeah, so go ahead and mute him, Tanya. I'm gonna take over. There you go. So his goal was sub 600 feet POA, which is doing very, very, very well. And then was no 3-putts, no doubles. All right, so I can make bogeys. Like, bogeys are okay. Bogeys are going to happen. Doubles become problematic. So it's usually indicative of you either missing something strategically or you really not understanding your own game. So that's a thing. You could also look at the mind component there, but by and large, you're trying to avoid those types of things. And if you're strategically playing well, you're in a good spot. So the thing I like that you did, Caroline, was like you went to an extreme to understand things. I think it's really important when you're learning any concept, don't be afraid to take it to an extreme. Daniel, go on. I don't know. So is taking things to an extreme helps you understand it more deeply. So 186 POA, based on the way you were trying to do it, was a little bit on the ridiculous side, but it helped you understand, like, hey, you know what? There may be some situations in which I do need to play that more conservative route, like you've been playing recently. However, I can't do that all the time. To Elijah's point of, like, if it's not serving, shooting the lowest score, then you're going to struggle. But it did allow you to put yourself in spots. Okay, I'm going to put it in the OP when I lay up short of the green here, and then I'm going to chip it into the BPN so I can hit both marks, and I can I have a wedge in my hand, so I'm going to be able to get my POA low as well. So, you know, the only thing that hitting it farther off the tee gives you the potential to do, not a guarantee, is to hit it closer. But if you've missed the OP, then that could be further. So that's where learning how to marry those three things together is really important. You know, you played around, went crazy low on the POA, and you learned something and surprised yourself, right? But in the same token, it's like, all right, now how do I hit a high number of marks and keep that POA reasonable and low? And you got to get some inside of 20 feet if you're going to make any putts. If you're outside of 20 feet all day, then, you know, not much is going to happen. So any other questions? I have like two kind of major points I want to hit. I'll take one more question if you got one. And then I'll take some things that I'm seeing in the data, and then I'm going to share a fun surprise for you all. Nothing? We good? All right, I'll give you 5 seconds, and then I'm going to run with it. Here we go. All right, so I'm looking at some of Tierney's data and Caroline's data as it comes in. One of the things that I'll notice is your BPNs are still really low. And when I see, the other thing that I'll see is I'll see high POA, or I'll see very low BPNs being hit. That's indicative of a larger issue, which is I don't really know where my golf ball is going. So you may be trying to hit the right marks, but if you're unable to hit the right marks, then I don't really understand much about my own game. Going a step further, a lot of times I'll see players slow start, where their POA will be really bad and their BPNs will be poor. Really want to watch out for that. That tells me that you really don't know yourself. So that's some self-reflection on, like, what kind of shots can I actually hit? And you should be able to get those things tightened down pretty quickly. I mean, y'all have played before. It's like, it takes you like 5 or 6 holes to get going, or you've played with people, it takes them 5 or 6 holes to get going. Some of that's mental, but a lot of that has to do with, like, not really understanding yourself. Like, you know, you're the offense and the golf course is the defense, right? We're back to, you know, chapter 1 of the Champions Playbook is, what can I actually do? What am I actually capable of doing? I figured out my second round down there, I only needed driver on 1 hole, so I didn't hit driver anywhere else. Well, one of the other guys we were playing with, all he did was hit driver. I made 5 birdies and 6 bogeys, and no doubles, all pars from there. And so I played the shots that I knew I could hit. Loved a 4 hybrid, even on a hole that I felt like I needed more than that. That's a club I hit. I could hit it great, and I could control where it went. And so I was unsure about the other clubs, so I didn't play those. Loved a wedge. So if I could, I tried to leave myself between 113 and 125. I had that number all day, and Elijah can tell you that's one of my favorite numbers. I hit it close all the time from there. Didn't worry about being avoided 90 to like 110. That's something he and I've talked about with his professional playing, is like, we both hate the yardage range. It's like too close to a full wedge, and it's too much off of another wedge. So we just avoid it at all costs. If I can't get into 90 and outside of 60, or outside of 115, really 113 is kind of my low there, then we're done. So how well do you know yourself? It's a massive component to what's going on. So when I see kind of some sporadic data, especially once you know how to hit marks. Like, I'm just going to hit a whole bunch of BPNs. If you keep hitting only like 8, 9, 10, 11, and you can't get it up into 14 or 15, then you're missing something. You could be all the way back to chapter 5 of the Champions Playbook, which is, what is the lie? How far is it? Where do I want it? What can I do? Right? Like, what are you missing in your shot selection? You may have a knowledge of where the BPN is, but are you selecting shots that are going to let you get into that? And that's really going to be the major objective when y'all come back down into May, is we're going to be with you on the golf course playing shots. We're going to play with you, and we're going to help you get into those spots with better shot selection. And you'll be surprised. There'll be times where I ask you to take less club than you would normally take, and there are going to be times where I ask you to take a lot more club than you would normally take. And so figuring that out is going to be huge. So I would challenge you all through this spring. How well do I know myself? When I feel this, what does the ball do? That's something Elijah and I have been trying to talk about since he's doing all the on-course stuff this winter with our Cracking the Code group, and I'm doing all the swing. Is we're making a big push of this specific field goes with this specific ball flight. If you can't make that attachment, then there's something you don't understand, or you're too technical, and you're so technical that you can't lock into the feel. So you're thinking about the wrong thing. So can I attach a specific field to a specific ball flight? Elijah, you looked at me that first day, because he knows my golf game really well, and he's like, you don't have this, right? Elijah, you want to share that story real quick?
Yeah. He got, because of his length and the width of his swing, just basically, physically, he has to emphasize a really tight core throughout the whole motion to keep the golf swing wide enough for it to be stable. And I looked at him, it was like on number 3, and I was like, yo, like, your core is not tight enough, because I noticed he had hit a couple of shots high right and a couple of shots low left. So his pattern is not very consistent and predictable, which tells me something in his technique is not right. I know that's an underlying theme in his golf swing, and so encouraging him to basically say, look, you've got to figure out like which way you're going to miss it, and until you can attach that specific feel for that given day with a specific ball flight and a predictable miss pattern, then at that point you are not going to know if you're going to be able to hit it into the BPN or not, which is Scott's point earlier to you guys. And going back to attaching a specific flight with a specific feel, I see just a lot of players not knowing how to fix their technique on the golf course and continuing to fight that. And so if you can't fix your technique within a hole or two, then you've got to start moving your start lines and club selection to a different place. Otherwise, you're not going to hit a different shot, and you're not going to be able to hit it in the areas that you're looking.
No, I think that's dead on. Any questions or comments about that? I've done this before, and I do this a lot in lessons when I've gone out on the golf course, or sometimes I'll do it on the driving range tee when I ask a player to hit in front of a group, and I'll point where the ball is going to go before they've swung. That means I know their game more than they know their game, right? Like, and that's a problem, right? So part of my job as a coach is to help them see that before, like, see it when I see it. And so it's to help them understand themselves really well. So whoever y'all are working with on your swing, that has to be totally dialed in. And I think honestly, some of it just needs to be done by self-reflection without help. I know that sounds kind of weird, but like, do that without help. One of our guys in our winter group, Tim Knox, actually got a text from him. Elijah and I both struggled with him a little bit, but he does a lot of work and he's super quiet. And like, you can't really tell if he wants help or not. And you kind of give it to him, but you don't get any feedback. What he's doing the whole time is he's taking in and processing. I got a text from him today. He's like, I think I finally understanding what it is I need to do. And I was able to attach a field today. And I think I really understand. I was able to repeat it. And so he did the hard work on his own of like, who am I? Like, what is my golf swing? That's why I've recommended the 7 Days in Utopia movie or book. Like, writing out what is it that is my golf game. Like, I'm a guy who hits a lot of knockdowns. That's my golf game. I have to be totally committed and okay with that, because it feels like I'm gonna hit it 30 yards shorter than I actually do. And you know what? Honestly, so what if it does? I have control over where it goes. So that's a hard thing for me to commit to, but I have to. Like, I don't have a choice to play my best. So that's kind of that piece of like, when I see sporadic data where I don't see any trends from like one round to the next round, that just means you're missing it. You don't know yourself well enough. You may understand the pieces, but you don't understand yourself well enough. Or you're just not as a part of not knowing yourself well enough, you're then not able to then pick a shot that allows you to get into the spots you're trying to get to. Does that make sense? And so the other piece that I see in the data is like, you got to track it every single time you play. If you only track it some of the time, or you only try and do it some of the time, you're going to get a mixed bag with anything. So whenever you play, you've got to have some method, whether it's decade, whether it's this, whether it's whatever. Like, you have to give your brain the ability to adjust and then run the giant science experiment it's running all the time. And so to me, where the security of BPN, OP, and POA lie is not only do we know the math that they fit into, but they also allow you to then peel back the layers of why did it really happen. So kind of bleed this into my final kind of part B of this is my calculated score when I was down there had 847 feet, 12 BPNs and 9 OPs. That calculated out to a negative 0.2 under par is what I should have shot. I shot one over. So it's pretty quick, right? Where's the one shot? The one shot was on a 3-putt that I made. I missed a 4-footer breaking right to left. And while I had like 60 something feet across the green. So proximity to the hole is not going to be great putting from there, but 4 feet, no problem. I had to play it outside the hole. As I stood over the ball, and I'd already lined my ball up, as I stood over the ball, I changed the read and kept the same speed I chose before. Played more break, missed it 2 feet by, missed it on the high side. If I had gone with a slower speed when I changed it, which is why you don't get out of your routine, like, I should have backed off, either relined it up or committed to it, and then hit the putt. Like, there's the one shot, right? So it was a mental error, not a swing, not a technique, not a strategy error. When you're looking at your data, I'll share a, actually, I don't think it's in the one that I have with y'all. What I want to share with you is, hang on, my daughters. Yes, sweetheart.
Say good night.
Give me a hug.
I love you,
Can you come and snuggle with me?
I'll be in there in a little bit. Where was I? Sorry. Let's see. So when you pull and look at your data, I put on there, where were the shots lost, right? I gave you that piece. If you can't get to the score that's projected, there's a high probability that it's your short game or a ball out of play or out of position. It's one of those two. And it may not always be a tee ball out of play, right? It might be an iron that's hit into a hazard out of bounds. Or it's a bladed shot over the green that goes into you basically lost a shot, right? It's either short game or that. That's it. Like, it's pretty simple. If you can't execute your score, there's a huge probability that it's one of those two. Most often, first and foremost, the short game. Unless you're just absolutely terrible off the tee, that would be a potential scenario. So that's back to the crazy eights, right? And that's why the big push there. I think Caroline got to see how hard crazy eights really is when she did it. She did track her BPNs and OPs, or her BPNs and PO when she did that, which I thought was really great. But she was hitting her POA on those is what we should kind of, the first time you did anyway, was kind of what it should be with the full swing, right? Like, I should be in a normal round of play being able to hit it that close. So that's kind of indicative of like, okay, my wedges also have to be closer and my full shots have to be closer. So that's again, I'm back to looking at the pattern of like, how well do you know yourself, right? So that's one half of that coin. Then the other half of that coin, I took an hour and 20 minutes and took a guy through this. He booked a 2-hour session because I knew we were going to need to. And he's trying to get on the senior tour in a couple of years. So we walked him through. He missed his number by 6 shots, and he kept wanting it to be driving, or I didn't hit it closer. Well, if I had done this, I was like, no, you can't change it. Remember how we did that, right? You can't change it. Where are the 6? Where are they? I said, all right, you were 880 feet POA, you were 8 BPNs, and you were 13 OPs. Now let's change the data. So you have one flip side, which is, am I getting everything out of the round as I hit the ball? Based on how I hit the ball and how I strategically chose shots, am I getting everything out of my round? Hey, if your number says you should have been 1 over and you shot 2 over, I'm going to tip my hat to you. Great job. You were able to get a lot out of that round. But if it's showing 2 or 3 under and you're 8 or 9 over, we need to address that first before we address changing the data. Because even if you change the data, you still have the problem. You can't get anything out of your round. So address the lost shots first, but then also go back and rebuild your data. Caroline, remember how yours was perfect the first time because you weren't very low, right? You're around even par for your projected score, but you were pretty close to getting that projected score the way we wanted it. So you did a good job getting a lot out of your round. However, you had the asterisk against you, which was like, how do we get it to where Tierney was at 3 under? Right? If you were able to get that much out of your round, imagine if we could shift the data to push it 3 under, then it's, where are the easiest places for me to shift my data? So just like where were the easiest shots lost, where are the easiest places for me to shift my data? And if you go through that RSA account, you're going to see a bunch of charts in there because I was toying around with it, playing around with it, because what I'm going to present to college coaches is the fact that they can actually watch their players in real time as they put their data in, whether that be in a practice round or not. But they can see their entire team's projection in real time. Here's where we're trending. Is our trend line moving down, more under, or is our trend line moving up? And so they can catch it and stave it off. So first, get more out of the round you have. Second, go in and change the data. So that kind of, does that make sense? And I think that's like those big pieces together. I would first go, how well do I know myself? Now I'm equipped with understanding BPN, OP, and POA. Second is hit those marks as good as I can possibly hit them. Then it's, where did I lose my shots? Let's fix that first. Then it's, how do I improve my shots? What shots would I choose differently? How did I misread a lot? Maybe the ball jumped out of there more than you thought it would. Maybe it came out shorter than you thought it would. Maybe you just chose the wrong club. Maybe you misread the wind. Maybe you hit the shot and you went, oh shoot, I forgot I was uphill. Right. Maybe it was like I did. I let my mind wander over a putt. Right? How do I improve that data? So you've got those three kind of components. How well do I know myself? Now I've got the getting the most out of the round as I have it. Then it's changing my data. And I think if you keep trying to run that cycle, that kind of triangle, if you will, if you keep trying to walk the sides of that triangle, you're going to get the most out of this data. So we're still learning with it as you all are. But at this point, that's the circle you got to walk. If that makes sense. And some of it's going to be hard to swallow, right? Some of that's just going to kind of hit you like a ton of bricks. Do they use that phrase anymore? is that even a phrase? What's the modern equivalent? Do I need a translator? But to me, that's where the power is, which is you all probably next week will get an email from me with a link to test our first web application. We're not actually building it as an app. We're going to have a web app up and available where you can input your data. And then at the end of the round, you actually see a chart that shows your trend for the entire round. Where were you moving towards a lower score and where were you moving towards a worse score? And then it'll help you reflect back on that. So, and then I can see all your data and it's super easy to put in. You don't have to stare at a spreadsheet. So, unless you like spreadsheets.
To add on to what you're saying about knowing yourself, it's actually kind of important for me, at least, because I realize that I play extremely high shots. That's just what I play. And I've been told to change that, but now that I kind of know that, now I can say, okay, I feel like my predictions would be better. It's not helpful in the win, obviously, but like I feel like now I know more of the shots that I can hit. So now I can kind of go down that ladder more than staying stuck at what I'm knowing myself.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's a wonderful exercise. Y'all just sit down and write until you run out. Like, this is my golf swing and golf game. This is what I can do. This is what I'm not good at. Or this is what I'm kind of okay at. And then check it with somebody who knows your game really well. Somebody you play with on the regular. Could be a coach, could be a teammate, whatever. Let them check that and check you on it. You probably line up, you may not. I mean, I don't like hitting anything longer than a 6-iron. It's the longest club I have in my bag. I don't hit long irons well because of my long levers. So I just don't hit them. But Scott, you're got a high quality golf swing. Yeah. I just don't like them. So I'm not going to hit them. Until somebody
I think the point that you're making, Scott, is all of these, things that we're talking about tonight, they're allowing you to remove bias from what you think and what you actually know. And so when you guys are looking back at your rounds and you're asking yourself a very unbiased question of, why did I miss the VPN here? If you're not giving yourself an honest answer, then you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're gonna stay stuck in the same place that you are, and you're not going to improve as quickly as you want to. So, all of these things we're talking about tonight, they are built and driven towards removing bias, so you can fully understand yourself without any preconceptions of what you think versus what you actually do.
Right. And the gentleman I was kind of alluding to, like changing the data and reflecting on the data, he said he should have been under par and he was like 6 or 7 over. And he wanted it to not be his wedges. And I was like, He's like, I should have made that putt. I was like, well, how long was it? 8 feet. I was like, well, you were only 60 feet from the hole, bro. Like, that's 20 yards. That should be inside of 4. I should have made the 8-footer. I was like, wow, no, like, chip it closer. And the more we went through the round, he finally started catching on. He's like, I could have made, no, that was a 10-footer. Yeah, I guess I need to wedge it closer. I was like, and so that became the committal for him was, all right, I had a 60-yard wedge shot. I hit it to 25 feet. It was really good. I should have made that. No, like, I can't just like go give myself putts from 25 feet. Like, tour players make 10%, if that at times. So from there, so you gotta be able to let that data hit you like a ton of bricks, right? Like, I needed to improve the number of BPNs I hit, and I needed to improve my POA. Like, my POA is really tight on a couple of holes, but was really big on others. So when I had a longer club in my hand, then I got to deal with the longer iron issue. And longer iron was 6 and 4 hybrid. It was 8 iron and 7 iron. So I got to deal with that to improve my data. So, and I didn't hit very many OPs playing a golf course blind, and most of the greens were hidden. You know, hitting half of them I felt like was pretty good. So if I had to go play it again, I still hit 9 again on the second round, then that would be a problem. First time, hit half of them, seems about right. So I was kind of hoping I was ahead of my number, but I wasn't. I was like, I'm going to be, nope, 1 shot behind. Crud. There we go. So that's how good I felt like I was hitting my wedges, how good I felt like I was putting. I was like, actually, no, you're just kind of catching up to the tour. You're just kind of sniffing it. You felt like you had an awesome 2 days, and you're just sniffing the tour. That's their average. Probably their bad day. A lot of days.
Scott, thanks so much for this. I know we're approaching an hour of being on and actually chatting. So can we do a couple things on this side? Can we do a final wrap up of questions? Do you guys have any questions for Scott or anything that you want to put out there for him?
Come on.
Is it oh, you can go.
Go ahead, Tierney.
Okay, so I played 9 holes back-to-back days, and first day I shot 2 over on 9 holes, and I remember like picking my spots and knowing like where I need to hit them, and I didn't end up writing them down, but I know I hit like I'm averaging around 7 per round on 9 holes BPN, and then 5 OPs. And I'm not sure what my POA was, but it wasn't exactly the greatest. And I ended up shooting 2 over. And then the next day, same amount of BPN, same amount of OPs. POA was a lot better, and I shot 5 under on 9 holes. So would you say that that's like me not knowing myself, or if that's just like another outside issue?
Okay. Yeah. You ready for this take? This hot mic. Anybody got a hot mic? This is going to go on. We'll get in trouble for this one. No, this is actually a really good one. I would say yes, but I would say you don't know yourself to the point of you don't actually think you're that good. And you are that good. I've had this conversation with, I had a girl from Mississippi State. She's in the PGM program there. Like, she smokes the boys. She's won player of the year or player of the semester 3 semesters in a row. And she still hasn't broken 70 yet. I was like, she would, from a ball striking standpoint, next to y'all, she'd run circles around you. Like, you just shot 5 under on 9 holes. Like, that's great. That's awesome. I've worked with her for 12 years. So, like, she's put in the work. She's put in the time. She's a late bloomer. So, like, she was kind of okay in high school, but her family didn't have a lot of money to be able to, like, get her to a golf course, and they didn't live near one. So she hit a lot of balls at her house. And so she's still seeing herself as the girl she once was, not as the girl as she is. Which, to Elijah's point, is like, use the data to remove your bias. right? Remember, we were sitting in the room, everybody's going, like, we're all disagreeing with you. You kept saying, like, just wait, it's going to break. Just wait, it's going to break. We're all going, it's not breaking. I don't know what you're talking about, right? And so the data in that position, it actually can help you get your mindset to where it matches your actual ability. In both cases, it protects from the ego of, oh, I think I'm so great and I don't make mistakes. But it also protects from the ego of, I'm not that good. Like, I work so hard, I just don't get any better. Like, look at your data. Like, what does the data say? Why is your POA low? Like, look back and go like, well, I was over that ball and I was just really scared. And I was thinking about the water the whole time. Right? It's like reflecting back on that. It actually goes both ways. But I had that conversation with her. I was like, Robin, if I had your golf game right now, I'd go shoot 65 tomorrow. And if I didn't shoot 65 in the first round, it'd probably be between 62 and 67. Like, it's there. You have to step into like really believing that's possible. And it's the averages working out, right? So like, if you put both those rounds together and then do that average, right, you finish at 3 under. I would guess your data without knowing it, but based on kind of what you're alluding to with 14 BPNs, even if your POA is not great, in one of the rounds, one of the nines, it's probably going to put you about 2.5 under par. Is that data in the spreadsheet?
No, it's not.
Put that in there. I wouldn't be surprised that it worked itself out. You actually played that well. Props to you. And all of you will bounce back and forth from both of those spots. Some of you will tend to lean on the lack of confidence side. Some of you will tend to lean on the overconfidence side. I would say as a group, you are all a little bit on the underconfidence side. Y'all got some talent in your group. And if I had all 6 of you here with Elijah, y'all playing with Elijah every week, gosh, like, I'd go play against any college team in the country. Give us 3 months, right? Y'all done a beautiful job with your golf games to this point. Still things to work on, and you're always learning. I'll add one little subtle criticism that I add to everybody, all of my juniors especially, and Elijah and I've talked about this a ton, is y'all got to ask questions, right? Find good, smarter people, ask questions, study, grab a book, Raymond Floyd, The Art of Scoring, right? There's a number of books, golf course architecture. Y'all don't study the game like we used to. Read things about Arnold Palmer, Hale Irwin. There's a number of ladies we can choose from there too, right? Like Nancy Lopez. Like, there's so many people you can just learn from and hear their experiences that you're going to pick up little things. You're going like, oh, that totally makes sense. I don't have all the answers. Elijah doesn't have all the answers. I got a lot more than most, but y'all ask questions, wear that out. Be a question asker. Be that annoying person in class that raises their hand all the time. It's like, I got a question. Oh, great. Like, Shail's got another question. Here she goes. Like, yeah, give it 5 years. You'll be 50 steps ahead of them. Won't even be close. I've become that guy in our PGA section. It's like, I still know more on the teaching side than probably everybody in the room because of who I learned from. And I'm still asking a question, even if I think I know the answer. I've usually discovered something or a different way of doing the same thing that I didn't know before. So sometimes you can be the smartest person in the room and ask questions. Sometimes you can be the dumbest person in the room and you ask questions. Regardless, you're going to learn something. So I tell that to all of my juniors at this point. And if there's one thing that frustrates Elijah, what is it out there on the golf course? Had it yesterday. Oh, maybe. Elijah, we can't hear you. Turn your mic on. Maybe. Oh, this was going to be so great. I teed him up. No? But he was mentioning yesterday, like, they don't ask any questions. So that's because they think they know everything they need to know. Or they're too afraid to ask and look stupid. So ask questions. What else? Final questions. Great question, Tierney.
Do you want me to put in data from my virtual golf?
Yeah.
I'm not traveling.
It's not going to hurt you. At least let us see some patterns, right?
Do you want me to put in the notes that that is virtual game?
Yeah, just make sure it's in that left side so we can see that.
Okay.
Counting down.
Yep, here we go. Counting down. Thanks, guys. I'm really glad this worked out. Scott, thank you so much for your time and chatting with us all again. I would like everybody to look at their calendars. It's the 26th through the 28th of May. Scott, I assume that's going to be an 8 a.m. start on the Friday.
Probably. It'll be, Elijah knows more about the tee sheet waves than I do, but
okay.
It'll be an early start and we'll come out of the gates playing.
Okay. I know Hannah, that's Hannah's last day of school. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. And Nikki, I think you're still in school till another month, right? So, but
what?
Yeah,
Move down south. It's better down south.
They go to school crazy long time up there. So if you guys could start as soon as sending those RSVPs so we can get a head count of what more of the plan's going to be and how it's going to be structured and who's involved, that would be great. So Scott, I think you said that the next steps, you were going to get an email. Everyone's going to get an email from you.
Yep. In the next week or so, it will not be it'll be a beta version of it. So it won't be in its final stage. I would like your feedback. So if you would like the screen to look different, take a screenshot, circle a thing, and then just shoot me a note that says like, hey, I'd like this to be, can we be able to make it look like this? Or can we be able to make it look like that? So we tested it this last week and it functionally does what it needs to do. But we're cleaning up some of the cosmetics and some of the back end. And it'll continue to improve over the coming weeks and months. And with it being an app, like a web app instead of an actual app, like as soon as we update it, it'll immediately update on your end. So like you won't have to wait for, this update comes in 3 months. We got to wait for Apple and we got to wait for Google to approve the app updates, right? It'll be immediately available to you. So yes.
So I just have a question. You said that we need to like start studying the like course architecture. Are there any like recommended books that you would have or like places to get the information from?
Yeah, there's this is a really short read and some of it will be kind of like superintendent-ish, like kind of technical, but is a book by Alistair McKenzie called Golf Course Architecture. It's a really thin, short book. And the amount of like playing stuff that's in there is not tremendous. The other one is a book by Tom Doak. He's still an active golf course architect that I think is really good. So I'll have to look at the name of that book. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I've read both of those. But I think Alistair's is nice and short and it's super old school. Like I think it says like 1916 on the cover or something like that. Like or 1960 something. Like it's super old. It's kind of cool. So I'd start there. And then other books on how to play would be The Art of Scoring by Raymond Floyd. Y'all go look up Raymond Floyd's golf swing and tell me how many of you are signing up for that golf swing. I don't think a single one of you will be like, yeah, I'd love to have that golf swing. Man, that boy can play. So The Art of Scoring by Raymond Floyd. And then the other one is Think Like a Caddy, Play Like a Pro, which, cool random fact, that was going to be the name of my first book until I went and looked up the name of books and it was already taken. I was like, bummer. It's written by a bunch of PGA Tour and LPGA Tour caddies. So I would read it slowly. I'd read like one short section, grab 1 point out of it, even if you highlight like 12. Like my first book is designed to kind of pull a lot of that data into a like palatable version, but that's where a lot of different stuff comes from. So those would be my recommended starting points for you. If you burn through those and you want something else, I'll send something else your way.
The Tom book is called The Anatomy of a Golf Course.
There you go. Great book.
And then he came out with a new one a couple of years ago called The Little Red Book too. Both good.
I haven't read that one. But yeah, I'd go Alistair. That kind of gives you some history of golf course design. I mean, Alistair McKenzie loved putting hazards and things in the way where a golf ball is most likely to go. Like he's notorious for that. Welcome to Augusta, which was his baby. But I give you some good clarity on how things are built, why they're built.
Scott, have you heard of the Golfer's Journal?
Yes, but I haven't read it.
It's good. It's got a lot of good stories in it, architecture, design, all kind of stories, honestly, all over the place. So if you haven't seen that, it's a good travel magazine, but it's more like a journalistic. So,
and y'all can like, reading sounds overwhelming at times, but like think about how much time you spend on your phones. Take 10 minutes at a time. You may get something, you may not, but you're putting good knowledge in your heads. I guarantee you your peers aren't putting it in there. Like, how many of your friends do you know are reading golf books? I don't see any hands going up, right? Like they're out there. The knowledge is there. You just got to go get it. Elijah, any final points? You falling asleep?
I'm sorry?
Any final thoughts? Other than turn your mic on? There you go.
No, I think, final wrap up for me is you guys all have great games. The hardest part about getting really good at this game is not trying to learn everything, but learning yourself. And if you can learn yourself and you can use these data points that we're teaching to you guys to help you learn your game better and learn your strengths and weaknesses, then all you have to do is build a plan to, use your strengths to help you play better and work on your weaknesses and then make the best decisions possible with the game that you guys have. All of you guys are talented players. You just have to continue to reflect and learn every single day. You have everything you need right in front of you guys, but it's up to you to take it and take it further and to take your game to the next level. And we're here to help you for that.
Great. Mary, Tanya, anything we can finish off with?
Nope. I just appreciate your time and taking the time to Zoom with us, and we'll make sure that we get a follow-up for May and a guest list.
Great. Awesome. Love to have you come down and bring some others with you. We'll put them through the ringer. We'll give them the secret stuff on day 2. So no, we're looking forward to it. Any point in time we can help, we'd be happy to. If it's on the mental side, that's fine. If it's on the practice side, love to help. If it's on whatever it may be, we are happy to help. I know Elijah's hopped on a call with at least one of you. So you got people all around you ready to help. You just got to ask.
Thanks so much. All right, guys, we look forward to seeing you the next time, and we will make sure you RSVP, and we hope to see you all in May.
Thank you.
Very good. Finish strong.
Thank you.
Senior.
Thank you.
Finish strong. Don't quit. We got rid of all of them. I love Tierney's question at the end. I thought that was perfect. Like, does that mean I don't know my game? Yeah, it does, in the wrong direction.
Hold on. Let me stop recording.
Oh, bummer. That's okay. She can catch that. That's so good.